welcome to the Roberts Law Office Injury Podcast. Kentucky attorney Jeff Roberts has over 25 years of experience. He'll provide answers to your questions related to personal injury and automobile accidents, workers' compensation claims, and Social Security disability benefits. Let's join Jeff for this episode. And friends, welcome back. We are once again in Calloway County with motor vehicle accident attorney Jeff Roberts. Jeff, good to see you.
Good to see you, Jim. How are you?
Buddy, I'm doing fine. I'm real excited about this episode because actually we've got some fantastic news. Something called personal injury protection has been updated, and this is some great insurance benefits that people in the state of Kentucky have access to, and a lot of them don't even know what it is, but basically it's worth more to you now.
Well, you can stretch it a little bit further now. There's been some changes made with this legislative session, and the law will take effect, I believe, in July, around July 15th, if I'm not mistaken, is when it will kick in and take effect. And there's been some update. Unfortunately, they did not increase the minimum required amount for the PIP benefits or basic reparations or no-fault benefits, all the same, all different terms for the same type of benefit. And so it's still the minimum that you can purchase is $10,000. They've not increased that. Myself and others are trying to convince them to increase the amount that was for PIP that was set back in, I believe, 1977 and hasn't been changed since then. And $10,000 went a pretty good ways for medical treatment back in 1977. Doesn't go very far anymore in that regard, but unfortunately we weren't able to get the increase from that standpoint. But there were some other changes that we were able to get there, and there was some compromising that was done to get that. One is originally the lost wage benefit, because PIP can be used for medical, lost wages, and some other things as well. But primarily you see it used for medical and lost wages. And one of the changes was on the lost wage benefit. Originally in 1977, the lost wage benefits was capped at $200 per week. Again, going back to 1977 wages, $200 per week was probably okay to let people pay their bills, etc. But in 2025, that was nowhere near enough for people in lost wages, and people were suffering greatly because of that. We have increased the lost wage benefit to $500 a week now. Not as high as I would like to see it be, but it is at least significantly better than it was, 2.5 times better than what it was, or 250% better than what it was before in that regard. So $500 a week is much better than $200 a week there. I think I've mentioned previously in episodes, kind of in the offhand comment, and I'll be mentioning again in this episode in the offhand comment, that if you don't have short-term disability benefits or short-term disability insurance through your employer, then you need to look into getting that yourself, because if you ever are off work because of a car wreck or something that happens at home, the PIP isn't going to make up all of your income loss. If it's something that happens at home instead of at work, there's not going to be anybody who's going to be paying you while you're off work from that standpoint. The short-term disability can make a huge difference in whether you get behind on your bills and get behind on car payments, etc. From that standpoint. So I would encourage people, and I don't sell insurance, and I'm not getting paid by anybody that sells insurance to mention that. So, but I do strongly suggest people to do that. Another thing that was increased with the PIP law that just passed is the payment for a funeral. Used to, the funeral payment was $1,000. And in 1977, that probably did quite a bit toward a funeral. In 2026, that doesn't do much for a funeral. That's been increased now to $5,000. I haven't looked to see what the average funeral costs are, but $5,000 obviously is going to be much closer to that than the $1,000. And hopefully, I don't know that $5,000 would completely cover the funeral, but at least it should hopefully make a large dent in that so that the family has less financial burden on themselves if they lose a loved one because of a motor vehicle collision.
Jeff, you had mentioned the baseline rate had not increased. So if I've got $10,000 in PIP coverage and I've got some medical bills, I've got some missed work, so I've got some lost wages in there potentially, is the funeral benefit on top of that, or is that deducted from that $10,000?
It's deducted from that $10,000.
Okay, so it's all within that same bucket, but more of it can go to cover that.
Correct. One other thing that you can do for yourself, and because PIP benefits protects you and the people in your vehicle, as we've talked about before, and I might ought to somebody listening that hadn't listened to us previously. PIP benefits or no fault or basic reparations benefits. If you're involved in an accident, the car you're in at the time of the accident will pay the first $10,000 of medical and or lost wages, etc. From that standpoint, and then later on, the at-fault driver's insurance will most likely reimburse the PIP to your vehicle if you weren't at fault in causing the accident there. And everybody in the car has $10,000 of PIP coverage.
They each get their own $10,000.
Each get their own $10,000. So if there's one person in the car, that person has $10,000. If there's 6 people in the vehicle, all 6 of them have $10,000. But it covers it's the first line to cover medical and at least under the car insurance claim, first line to cover medical and lost wages there, and then gets reimbursed later when you determine who's at fault in causing the collision.
And the reason we have that, again, Kentucky is considered a no-fault state, and this is part of that situation.
It's only part of that.
Yeah, it's so that you can get to medical treatment. You don't have to worry about maybe a year or 2 years later when the case finally settles or is negotiated or goes to a jury verdict or whatever. You've got some money to go ahead and get medical treatment now, which is actually a benefit.
You're correct. I mean, I did not practice law back in 1977, but my understanding is part of the reason this came about is because you had like some 2 people have a wreck at an intersection, and one says, I had the red light. The other one says, no, I had the green light. And the other one says, no, I had the green light. And neither insurance was taking care of anybody's medical at that point. And so with the PIP benefits, it started getting, and back then, obviously, it was long before the Affordable Care Act took place. So you had a lot of people who did not have insurance, and there's still people who don't have insurance. So people weren't able to seek medical treatment that needed it because they just couldn't afford it. And frankly, without insurance, and if you don't have the money when you go see the doctor to pay the bill at the time, they're not going to see you. And I understand that. So the no-fault PIP law come into effect for that very reason, to allow people to get the medical treatment there. And so that is so that kind of increased there. One thing you can know, even though the minimum coverage that they can write is $10,000, you can purchase what's called added reparations benefits, and essentially it covers the same thing as the basic, but you just increase the limit, so you can get another 10 or 20,000 of added reparations benefit, so that it'll cover 20,000 or 30,000 of medical bills and or lost wages in that regard. So you can purchase more than just 10,000 of the PIP benefits if you wish to do so there. One of the changes that come about in this law is with this updated law that just passed this session is it has put in the workers' comp fee schedule for most medical bills. And what that's going to do, the workers' comp fee schedule pays less than what PIP used to pay. Because PIP would, if the bill was $500, PIP paid $500. The workers' comp fee schedule may be more like a Medicare, Medicaid reimbursements, which may be only $200, $250. Well, now under this, with this new law, the PIP's going to pay at that workers' comp fee schedule rate. So if it's $250, they pay $250. And one of the provisions that we were able to get, the people, I'm I mentioned before on here that I'm in the Kentucky Justice Association, and we worked on this bill to make changes to it. It was proposed a couple of years ago, and we worked and made some significant changes to make it much better for the injured person than it was originally. One of those changes was that we included a provision in there that the provider is limited to that. So if their bill's $500, PIP pays $250 for that under the fee schedule. They can't bill the injured person for that other $250. So the fee schedule is what the cap is, and the injured worker doesn't have to pay any portion of that.
And I guess that also preserves more of that PIP fund, whatever the $10,000 or whatever is there,
correct.
More of it that can be redirected or used other ways, right?
Correct. Yes, and that it does. There's some providers and others who did not like that the workers' comp fee schedule being put in place from that standpoint. From my perspective, I think that it will allow that $10,000 to go further. So if the fee schedule is 50% of what the charges are, then that $10,000 now has covered $20,000 of medical. So to me, that's it can be a benefit to my clients. Now, the fear is there's some people who do not accept workers' comp patients because of either the fee schedule or all the excess paperwork that comes along with that. So
you're talking about a doctor who says, "Hey, I don't want to treat a workers' comp case."
Exactly.
Okay.
You have some medical providers, doctors, therapy office,
sure,
diagnostic, etc. But therapy or medical providers who say we don't treat workers' comp patients, and I at least my experience in talking with them, it's primarily because of the headache that you have in dealing with workers' comp. There's a lot more paperwork requirements with workers' comp. And also with workers' comp, you have the insurance company looking over your shoulder much more frequently. I see workers' comp deny medical treatment for people much more than I see health insurance deny medical treatment for people. And just like I would not want if I tell my client we need to do XYZ in your case, and I wouldn't want another attorney going to them and say, "No, you don't really need to do XYZ in this case." That would be very frustrating to me, and I understand why it's very frustrating to the doctors if they think this is what the client, their patient needs from a treatment standpoint to get better, and then be second guessed by someone who's not physically examined them, who's not on the hook. If the patient doesn't get better, that would be very frustrating. So I can understand that concept.
Yeah. You're going to get paid less and have a whole bunch more hoops to jump through.
Right.
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. On the no fault PIP benefit side, you're not going to have all that paperwork requirement. There's not going to be any more paperwork than there already is for workers or for a car wreck case for the PIP to pay. So I don't think, at least I'm hoping, that the providers that don't accept workers' comp aren't going to take the same position in regard to car wreck case, and I don't anticipate that occurring, at least in Western Kentucky, where I practice primarily at. I think that's I see some who are concerned about that and their clients being able to access medical care, but I don't have as great of a concern as some others do in that regard. And then another part of this, the original language was such that currently we can let health insurance. The way the law has been for a long time is the injured worker gets to direct the PIP payments, and that's been very beneficial to my clients.
And again, this does not have to be a workers' comp claim, right? This could be just somebody that's in an accident.
This is a car wreck case.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You said workers' comp.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
You said injured worker. I was like, wait a minute, just to be sure.
Sorry. Yes, I apologize. Someone injured in a car accident. I misspoke. Someone injured in a car accident gets to direct their PIP payments. So if if you're going to the emergency room and you have health insurance, my advice normally is, let's let the health insurance take care of all the medical bills initially, and let's use PIP to reimburse the health insurance. And we kept that provision in there. That lets us spread that money further as well. And so we've kept that provision in the law to where we can still let health insurance be primary, and then the car insurance reimburse the health insurance at a later date in that regard. So that has the original language did not have that. We made sure that was part of the language that was kept in the PIP bill for this time.
And so by holding back those PIP funds, you can let the insurance company, who probably already has a lower rate negotiated with that hospital or that provider.
Correct.
So instead of paying full retail, so to speak, they get a discounted rate, and then you can use the PIP funds to pay the discounted rate, not the full retail. So
correct.
That's what you're talking about, stretching that dollar a lot more. And it allows you also to negotiate with the health insurance company, I would imagine, right?
It does. You can negotiate with the health insurance company some, depending on the company and some other factors involved. You can negotiate that reimbursement rate down in that regard. And so, and I've had situations where, my client's medical bills were $25,000. Billed charges, the health insurance pay less than $10,000, pay $9,500, and then we use the $10,000 PIP to pay that back, and we've wiped out $25,000 of medical bills with $9,500 payment, and still had $500 of the PIP money left for anything in the future type situation. So,
but again, an attorney such as you, who has 33 years or more experience practicing car wreck cases, practicing workers' comp, and even Social Security disability, you understand how all of this fits together. An average person may not be aware of it and may just say, yeah, let's use PIP to pay those bills, when they don't realize they're actually probably paying more than they need to. So that's why it's a good reason probably to give you a call, because you offer free consultations to begin with.
I do offer free consultations, and I'm kind of giving away a little bit of the insider baseball secrets here at my office in the way I do this. Hopefully most attorneys who handle car wreck cases do that as well with the PIP from that standpoint. But yes, I've had conversations with the clients, with clients and potential clients about that, and say, we want to reserve the PIP. And they say, well, I don't, this was from a car wreck. My health insurance shouldn't be paying these bills. It's like, yeah, your health insurance should be paying, and then we'll reimburse. It's to your benefit to do that. And so that is part of it, that you've got to take care of that. And, that's one thing of going to an attorney who does this frequently and does this for a living, instead of one who does it only on occasion, because me and other attorneys who do personal injury work like I do, we do it day in, day out. We understand how these things work together and mesh together, and what's the best way to maximize the amount of money that we put in our client's pocket in that regard. And hopefully all of us are doing that in the best way possible. Plus, we also keep up to date with these changes in the law. This bill was proposed in a couple of years ago, like I said, and it passed this year. But there are, unfortunately, probably some attorneys in the state right now that have no idea that there's been a change in the law. It hadn't took effect yet, and it won't take effect till July, so hopefully they'll learn about it before then. But that is one of the benefits of going to someone who does just strictly personal injury work, is they keep up to date on changes in the law. Even before they take effect, they know what's coming so that they can maximize that for the client. So.
Well, it's interesting. You brought up an organization called the Kentucky Justice Association, which is a statewide group of attorneys, primarily plaintiffs' attorneys. They represent injured victims, I would think.
Correct.
And you're actually a past president of that organization.
Yes, I was president of the organization in 2025. I'm still on the executive committee of the organization as immediate past president. But yeah, that's an organization. I've been part of that organization for years and years, since early on in my practice. Started practicing in 92. I believe I joined that organization in 93. And to me, it's the best lawyer organization in Kentucky, best lawyer organization that I've ever been a part of or heard a part of. and it's designed primarily to protect the Seventh Amendment, protect people's rights to being able to go to keep the courthouse doors open so that they can go seek redress when they've been injured by a large corporation, or if an insurance company is treating them badly and not treating them in good faith, they can go to court and rectify that situation. And so that's primarily what one of the things that organization does. Puts on legal seminars as well. In fact, I'm chairing one later this month for the organization. So that is, to me, it's an organization that I hold near and dear. So.
Well, and kind of what I'm getting to for the benefit of the listeners is that, not only are you a member of that organization, your previous president of the organization, you're actually dealing with educational seminars that educate other attorneys. And we've mentioned this numerous times in previous episodes that you've actually given some of those seminar lectures to teach your peers aspects of the law and things that have changed and why it's important. So there's a little bit of benefit in having somebody with that level of experience, I would think, when it comes to seeking out. Well, I don't know which attorney I should call. Well, here's a guy that's got the bona fides.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I have spoken a lot at seminars. And I've chaired a few of the seminars as well from there. In fact, I spoke at a statewide seminar that UK put on back in early April. And so, yeah, that's something that I've done over the years. Enjoy doing that to some extent. Getting the materials together is always not fun, but I enjoy presenting to attorneys like the Kentucky Justice Association, where I'm presenting to other plaintiffs' attorneys. If I'm presenting to plaintiff and defense attorneys, I don't give all my secrets away. Presenting to plaintiff's attorneys, I'm much more likely to share more of my secrets anyway, or more of my tricks at that point. So,
well, but that's the essence of KJA, the Kentucky Justice Association. It's a great way to learn the craft of practicing law, because you're going to hear from other attorneys who have been down that road, handled those types of cases, been in those situations, and it's your all's ability to share amongst each other as peers is fantastic. I've been very involved with that organization over the years from time to time, right. And I've watched you guys. It's an amazing organization.
It is. I agree. The plaintiff's attorneys side, at least, I've never been on the defense side, so I don't know how they are. But on our side, technically you could say, quote unquote, we compete against each other in cases to some extent. I don't know that you can make that argument anyway. But I've never had a experience where I reached out to a personal injury attorney about some information on a defendant doctor or a doctor that's evaluated my client, or about an issue I've never faced before, and I know they faced it, and had them turn me down. In that regard, I've never turned down anyone who's reached out to me. Sorry if I busted people's eardrums there. Reached out to me about a legal issue that I've faced that they haven't faced, or asked me any kind of thing. If it's a plaintiff attorney in that regard, and that's the Kentucky Justice Association is kind of built on that. It's attorneys helping each other to better serve our clients. We have KJ has the best legal seminars, bar none, in Kentucky, in my opinion. There, and I've said this before to other people. I am a much better attorney now than I would have been if it was not for KJA and the seminars that they put on, in the attorneys there that have worked with me when I was a young attorney. They're learning the ropes, and I'm trying to do the same thing. One of the reasons I speak at these seminars is, and answer anytime an attorney calls me up, is because, I benefited greatly from that when I was a younger attorney, and I'm hoping that the next generation of attorneys are just continuing to add to what we've done in the past. So.
No, that's outstanding. Jeff, I love it when we actually spend a little bit of time talking about Kentucky Justice Association on your podcast, because it's another way that you're constantly building and honing your skill set as an attorney. So, I mean, that stuff is important. A lot of people are like, why are you talking about that? It doesn't have anything to do with me. No, it may, if you actually are one of Jeff's clients, because there may be a tip or there may be a tactic or a strategy that he picked up or now understands better because of your interaction with KJA. So
absolutely.
I always enjoy spending a little bit of time talking about those
Yeah.
guys.
And one thing that we do is, especially at the annual convention, is have national speakers come in. So we bring in and have presentations from speakers that, go all over the country, trying cases, et cetera. And so we're not just learning from other Kentucky attorneys. We're learning from other attorneys outside of Kentucky that are making advancements in things as well. So and it's very beneficial it's been very beneficial to me, and I think it's very beneficial to the other attorneys in Kentucky as well.
Terrific news. And Jeff, we're recording today down here in Murray, Kentucky, in Calloway County, but you also have another office we like to talk about over in Hopkinsville in Christian County.
I do. I have an office in Hopkinsville. I've had that office for a few years now. I've always had a lot of clients up in that area, and that helps me to provide more of the, as you know, I have the motto of providing small town service and delivering big city results for my client, and I tried to live up to that in every case. And having that office up in Hopkinsville has allowed me to better provide small town service to the clients up in that area.
No, that's outstanding. And even though you're here in Western Kentucky, you're able to practice a car wreck case anywhere in the state of Kentucky. You can handle motorcycle, trucking collisions, all of that anywhere in the state. So you don't just have to be in Calloway County or Christian County. You can be anywhere in the state and still give Jeff a call. And Jeff, you've got one phone number regardless of which office, right?
Right, I do. The number's 270-753-0053. You call that number if it's during business hours. You're nearly always, occasionally we're all tied up on other lines, but you're nearly always going to get a live person to answer the phone during our regular business hours. And again, part of trying to provide that small town service. So.
Outstanding. Well, Jeff, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for the update on the new PIP law and how it's going to benefit people going forward as soon as it comes in. And you said that should go into effect roughly July 15th, right around that area?
Correct.
Okay, outstanding.
Yep.
Well, Jeff, thanks for your time. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Roberts Law Office Injury Podcast. Jeff will return in 2 weeks. Until then, he invites you to visit jeffrobertslaw.com and follow his firm on Facebook. At the Roberts Law Office, you'll find a history of small town service and big city results.